kind of goes further than that. So for instance, if they say, I don't want any signs, I don't want any open house signs, I don't want anything at all on my property that says it's for sale. So if that in fact does happen, and the seller says, yes, I don't want it anywhere on the internet, and you're like, okay, they have to initial there as well. And the initial there is pretty much them saying, nowhere on the internet, I just initialed this. B, place appropriate transaction signs on the property, including for sale signs, sold signs, all that stuff. It kind of goes further than that. So for instance, if they say, I don't want any signs, I don't want any open house signs, I don't want anything at all on my property that says it's for sale. I look at them and say, well, you're asking me to put your house for sale, but you don't want anybody to know it's for sale. In most cases, a neighbor in the neighborhood that sees a house is for sale, chances are they're going to tell somebody else that they know that a house in their neighborhood's for sale. Why don't you check it out? You should come live next to me. You're always at my house anyway, so on and so forth. So you want the neighbors to know that the house is for sale. And on top of that, you guys could get some more activity from drive-by. So if somebody sees a sign and they say it's for sale, you want them to be able to call you and ask you questions so you can go and show the property, or maybe generate a new buyer lead off of the listing that you have for sale, right? C, obtain information related to the present mortgages on the property. Why do you think it's important that here on the listing agreement, you let the seller know, seller, I have to know about any present mortgages you currently have on the property? I say everything's negotiable. The sellers are asking for $300,000, but once we submit an actual offer and put it in front of them, they may change their mind. You know, because I mean, the seller's not going to say, Jose, we don't want, unless the seller specifically told me, realtor, don't bring me any offers less than what we're asking. Okay. But they do understand that when I list their property, I'm like, seller, we're going to list your property for $300. Worst case scenario, nothing less than $375. And they're like, okay, that's fair. At least we have some room to negotiate. I'm like, okay, as long as you understand that. So somebody comes to me and they say, hey, are the sellers willing to negotiate? I'm like, everything's negotiable. Would you like to submit an offer in writing in front of them, and we'll make it real? Yeah, I typically will, because they're allowing me to share comps. The seller is giving me written permission to share comps. So I might even have 3 comps on the countertop of homes that recently sold to justify this price. So if somebody comes in, they're not going to come in too low because I'm showing them these justifiable comps. Okay?
Real quick.
Yep.
With that situation, so let's say the seller going to say, well, don't bring me an offer that's less than $375.
Yep.
And you have an open house, you get a buyer who wants to submit one that's less. You can say they won't even look at this.
Yes. If the seller specifically says we won't take anything less than this, then I could tell them, hey, I don't want you to waste your time because the seller instructed me not to take anything less than this. Which we'll get to right here as well as a portion of it. Now remember, the rule is you must submit all written offers directly to the seller. Even verbal. We have to submit all verbal and written offers to a seller. That's our duty to do that. So in this situation here, if somebody did say, I know you said the seller wouldn't take less than $375, what we wanted to offer, but here's our offer anyway. Okay, and I'll send it over to the seller, because you have to. Now here it says, on 60, it says, the seller will allow us to use a lockbox on the property, so it can be shown by other realtors. Now, usually when I go to a listing, I bring a lockbox with me, just so I can kind of get them used to it. So me, when I come to a listing, I bring my sign, because I have a stick in the ground sign. Ultimately, that's not what I'm going to use to sell the house, but it's just temporary until they actually put an arm post in the sign in the ground. So I'll bring a little sign with me, I'll lean it up next to the wall, and I have a lockbox with me as well. When I sit down at their kitchen, I just put the lockbox on the table there, and I start to go over the whole listing format. Meanwhile, they're looking at this thing, they're like, what's that thing? You know, they're kind of curious. And then I explain to them This is a lockbox, and this is what I will put on your front door so other realtors can access the property. It is the safest, most secure way to show your property. Only realtors have access to this lockbox, and we could set certain days and times that this lockbox will function. Other than that, it won't work after a certain time or won't work on certain days. Plus, it keeps track of everybody who came into the house and anybody who left the house and what time they were here.